All right, everybody. The Super Bowl is tomorrow. It's a big day. It's 11:35 right now. It's going to be the day of the Super Bowl in 25 minutes. So we have to do our Super Bowl predictions for this year. Now, I'm going to be covering just a couple of very basic topics. Who's going to win? Who's going to win MVP? And what's the fallout going to be? And maybe a couple details in with it. Now, we go into the Super Bowl. We have a rematch of a Super Bowl a decade ago where we have the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. Now, you have the NFC, which was probably a tougher bracket, and I think we can all admit that they probably went through a much more difficult bracket. You have the Rams and you have the 49ers. And then in the AFC, you have the Patriots, who went through a couple of okay teams, but then again, with what happened with the Denver Broncos, obviously it's not going to be as convincing of a victory, but nevertheless, they still made it into the Super Bowl in Drake May's second season as a starter. Very, very impressive. Similar to the way Burrow did it in 2021. So, who do I think is going to win? Obviously, it's the main question. It's the big question of the Super Bowl every year. Who is going to be the victor? Who's taking away that Lombardi trophy? Who's going to be able to put it in their case? Will the Patriots get their seventh ring, or will the Seahawks end up with their second? Now, a lot of people talk about Drake May and how he didn't win MVP and how the schedule was a big reason why he was even in consideration for the MVP. And when it comes to the Super Bowl and you look at the Seahawks schedule, to be honest, their schedule was not a heck of a lot harder, excluding their divisional games. When you have the two games against the 49ers and the two games against the Rams, those four games were all very, intense and difficult. But otherwise, their schedule was not particularly crazy bad. The Patriots obviously had a pretty easy schedule. They had one or two big games all year, but otherwise it was a pretty big cakewalk, and then especially in the AFC Championship game with Jarrett Stidham. Listen, I mean, I love the guy. To be honest, I really wish they won, but we knew what was happening the second that Bo Nix went out. Bo Nix is looking really good for the Broncos, so maybe they'll be back in the situation next year, but Stidham was just not able to hold them together in the championship game. So we get back to that question. Do the Patriots eke out that win? Do they get their seventh ring? Do the Seahawks get revenge for not running the ball on the 1 yard line? Oh, and that's the other question I'm going to answer. Will the Seahawks run the ball on the 1 yard line again? My prediction is that this will not be a close game. I don't think that it'll be any less than a 10-point differential. I think it will be close when we get into the mid fourth quarter, but it'll start to fall away from the losing team. I think my take is pretty consensus. I think a lot of people have been coming around with this, and I don't think that I'm going to be offending too many people with this one. But my final say is that I think the Seattle Seahawks will be winning the Super Bowl this year. They'll be defeating the New England Patriots. I think the final score is going to sit somewhere around like 34 to like 17. I don't think, again, it's going to be crazy close. I think the Seahawks are going to be able to pull away with their special teams by the time we get into the fourth quarter. Hopefully Rashid Shaheed does well, former Saint after all. And I think the Seattle Seahawks will be coming home with the Lombardi trophy. This is not really a question in my head. There's not a lot of doubt that I have. We could see some Sam Darnold mononucleosis ghosts, but I think that he'll be able to hold his part together. He did well against the Rams, which is a really good defense, other than their corners. But, I mean, Sam Darnold has proven himself throughout the playoffs, even though he didn't really do a lot against the 49ers. Drake May has kind of done the antithesis of that. He's only thrown for 86 yards in the most recent game that he's played, which is rough, to say the least, especially when Darnold threw for like 220 against the Rams defense. And this is not to say that the Rams defense is like extortionately close to the Broncos, because Broncos do have the best defense in the league, but the Rams do still have a competent defense. I mean, Cam Curl is not the best DB in the world, but they're no Raiders, so it's still an impressive accomplishment. But again, I think the Seahawks are going to be winning this one. I don't think it's going to be really close, but I think it will be that way going into the fourth and like midway through the fourth. Question number 2, who is going to win the Super Bowl MVP? This is another question that is like, it's going to be a guy from the winning team, so we can already eliminate all the Patriots that might win. So Drake May, Ramondre, it's about it if we're being honest. Travion, I guess, Stephon Diggs. Those are like the four dudes who can win it from the Patriots, unless there's some defensive player who has a crazy game. But we look at the Seahawks and we look at some of our early suspects and probably the big three. We got JSN, we got Kenneth Walker. I almost said Zach Charbonnet, definitely not, and of course Sam Darnold. Now, are we going to have the QB bias award and it's probably going to go to Sam Darnold? That is a possibility, but I think this is going to be the JSN show. I think K9 will do what he has to do, but the what was the really bad nickname they came? The Emerald City Route Artist or something? Yeah, the Emerald City Route Artist is going to do what he does, and the Emerald City Route Artist, which is what I'm going to refer to him as for the rest of this video. I think he's going to definitely eclipse 100 yards, probably over 150, if I'm being honest. I have a lot of respect for Christian Gonzalez, but I think there's going to be some safety issues, and I think that's going to be where JSN comes in, and then in the midfield. But besides my point, I think JSN, sorry, Emerald City Route Artist, is going to have over 150 yards. I think he's going to have at least one score, probably two. I think Kenneth Walker is going to get most of the touchdowns in this game, so I would not be surprised to see him only net one, but I think it's going to cut to the point that there is going to be a play on the 1 yard line that they run with K9, and it's going to be a touchdown. So that's going to be one of those situations where you're just not going to get it for him, although he's still going to have those yards. But I think Jackson Smith, I'm not doing what Drewski did, and Jigba is going to be getting the Super Bowl MVP this year. The fallout. That was the last question because I already covered the fourth question. So the fallout from this game. I think the Patriots, even though they're not going to win, in my mind, and in this universe, I suppose, I don't think they come away from this game like particularly perturbed or upset about what happened because you made the Super Bowl in your second year with Drake May. You got some great building blocks coming up. You're not going to be losing a ton of guys. Will Campbell has kind of looked terrible, but we're going to skip past that. Maybe draft some more line, maybe draft receiver. We'll see where that goes. But you're looking really, really good and very promising for the future, other than Will Campbell. So good on them. And I hate to slander an O-lineman as an O-lineman, but hasn't been great over the past playoff series. So we're going to get to that at a later time. But for right now, I think the Patriots are going to be looking very happy with where they're at right now and what they're going to accomplish next year. The Seahawks in this situation, I think, are going to be even more ecstatic. The Vikings are going to hate themselves. But hey, Sam Darnold is going to net himself zillion dollars. JSN, I don't know when his contract's up. Hold up. Jackson Smith, not doing the Drewski thing. Contract. He is still on his rookie contract right now. And he is up for his next contract. This one ends in 2026. So he'll be eligible to re-sign next year. Yeah, he'll be eligible to re-sign next year. So again, I think that's going to be netting him a very large payday when it gets to that. Because right now, he's only making $4.5 million next year and $4 million this year. So the club, they can franchise tag him going forward until 2027. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they are going to stick with what they have and pay him a bunch of money. But again, Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to get a ton of money. Sam Darnold's probably going to get a ton of money. Luckily, they have a relatively young defense, so they don't really need to pay them as much, keep them on their rookie contracts. But it is going to come down to keeping Darnold and JSN, Walker, maybe trading Charbonnet, depending on what happens with the Super Bowl, and finding a way to structure all of their money so that they have enough cap space. Because I don't actually know what their cap space is right now. Seahawks cap space. Seahawks are. They have. Oh, actually, $73 million cap space. That's crazy. I did not think they had that much cash. Wow. The other player they're paying obviously Darnold. That's pretty cool. I did not realize that they had such a contract. That's like next year. This is actually pretty nice looking for them because of how their contracts are set up. I mean, this is pretty good. Yeah, that's 63 million in cap space. So, according to the more accurate one, 63 million in cap space going forward. A lot of that is going to go to paying JSN and Darnold, but hey, 63 million in cap space and still going to and hopefully winning the Super Bowl, you're in the best situation you can be in. But those are my predictions. Seahawks to win, JSN to win Super Bowl MVP, both teams to walk away happy anyways. And yes, the Seahawks will end up on the 1 yard line and run the football in with Kenneth Walker and score a touchdown. So that is my synopsis of what I think will happen in the Super Bowl tomorrow, as in 14 minutes. And this will actually probably be going out the day of. So you can superimpose today over my tomorrows. But make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good ask, good whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future videos on the channel. Have fun watching the Super Bowl, you guys. If you're going to a party, if you're just watching by yourself, no matter what, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.